Wrapping up a 3-game trip in Philadelphia, and they didn't have to deal with Joel Embiid, who tweaked his ankle on Wednesday. Jimmy Butler ready to go. Pick it up in the third quarter. John Collins to Trae Young.
Not impressive defensive rotation.
Not great. John Collins, you bet.
The rim is naked out there with a Joel Embiid.
Surprisingly, the 7-footer's gone and people go right at the rim.
This gets interesting. Alex Len with a little elbow against Jimmy Butler, and Butler is trying to get up to get after him. TJ McConnell just drags him away.
That's a good teammate right there, boy.
Len picked up a flagrant 1 foul, and Butler got to stay in the game. Fourth quarter, more from Young. How about the range? Gotta like that. He was 3 of 8 from the great beyond as a team. The Hawks were 12 of 25. Late, Ben Simmons to Jimmy Butler. And then Butler. Crunch time. And the finish. Seen a lot of that from him in a Sixer uniform. He had 23, 10 rebounds, 15 assists for Simmons, I should say. Kevin Huerter, new career high. 29 for the Rook. We're tied at 121. Here's Collins. Clutch.
Big shot. John Collins has been playing unbelievable basketball.
Unbelievable.
Been really good lately at 25 and 9 in this one. 5.5 to go. Butler doesn't go to the trademark step back jumper that's been so effective for him. Instead has to go to the free throw line, and that did not go well.
Neither the defense by Trae Young nor the free throw shooting going to go on the highlight tape for those two players.
And yet, they made the highlight here.
Exactly.
Atlanta wins at 123-121. Butler did get 30 along the way. Hawks shot a season high, just under 56%. And get this, for a team that is 13 and 29, the Hawks are 6 and 2 in games decided by 3 or less.
Trade target alert, Dwayne Dedmon, 19, 8, and 7.
Absolutely. He can do a lot of things for a decent team out there somewhere. Pacers and the Knicks, Victor Oladipo. Woo!
Punch.
Oh! Pacers wrapping up a 5-game road trip, their longest of the season. How about TJ Leaf? Put back dunk.
One of my favorite young guys in the league to watch the next couple of years, Griff. A lot of talent, a lot of size, and a really good opportunity for him to get
As
better.
he grows into his body, gets a little bit stronger. Right now, he's a little too top-heavy in the paint.
Knicks on the comeback. You saw Kevin Knox knock down a floater, then Tim Hardaway Jr. put the Knicks on top. Oladipo knocks down the 3 there, and it's a 10-point lead. It grew to 12 at the break. Oladipo, Domantas Sabonis.
Oh!
He's hammering it home.
Business decision made there by Noah Vonleh.
22 and 15 for Sabonis. Emmanuel Mudiay coughs it up. Oladipo throws it down. 19 points, 4 rebounds, 6 assists, 10-point lead for the guys in gold. We got a little Shaq and a fool situation here. I mean, to be fair, he was wide open.
Wide open indeed. And by the way, give Hazonia credit. He's leading the league right now in dunk highlights that he is not responsible for
He's
dunking.
on the wrong end of those, but yeah. Tyreek Evans spins, knocks it down. He had 12, and no Miles Turner again for the 4th straight game, but Indy wins it. They've now won 15 of 19. Is there a quieter success story in the NBA right now than the Indiana Pacers?
I don't think so. And I think, Sabonis and some of these other guys on that Pacers roster, Matt, are really turning in fine seasons without a whole lot of fanfare.
And Thaddeus Young may be the most consistently sound player on a playoff team that never gets discussed at all. They managed to continue to win even in the absence of Oladipo, in large part because of how well Thaddeus played.
Knicks have lost 16 of 18, still ahead before he punched out for the night. Smitty was kind enough to leave behind his top place under the rim.
The Sixers come into tonight's game against the Hawks in 4th place in the East and sporting the NBA's best home record at 18-3. But they are one of the league's worst teams when it comes to turnovers. The Hawks lead the league with 18.7, then the Mavs, the Suns, and the 76ers. And it's ironic because a team as high in the standings as they are, and yet they're among the league leaders in turnovers. Smitty, are these turnovers a serious problem for the Philadelphia 76ers?
Anytime you have turnovers, it's a serious problem because you're giving up possessions. And I think they're not the Golden State Warriors where they can make a possession with the three ball. And I think the one thing for them is, and they're not deep enough as far as bench as of today. I look at the Philadelphia 76ers, when it comes down to
playoff series where 1 to 2 possessions can be the difference between you winning not just the game but the series, you have to value the ball. You can stay in games if you just value the ball and don't kill yourself. And making mistakes like that, and especially turnovers, that's what will happen to you.
Joel Embiid will not play tonight. J.J. Redick, however, is available after missing a couple of games. Jimmy Butler, I want to talk with you guys about him. Is he in the way, or is he making the Sixers better?
Well, he's both, because when he plays and he's not a distraction, they've been very good. And obviously we look at the type of player he is. But when he's a distraction, I look at it as Jimmy Butler's in the way, because you got to start looking at it right now is, yes, wins and losses, unless you ultimately can win a championship with Jimmy Butler being a distraction, he's going to have to find a way. And I know the last part, they've downplayed it, but it's still things keep coming up. And maybe it's the media added a little bit more to the fire. Jimmy has to find a way, and yes, that's his personality. What it comes down to now, can you have this type of personality and win games? And that's the part for me is I would say, yeah, because they're winning games. But they're not going to be judged in the regular season. They're going to be judged in the playoffs, in my opinion, B-Will.
I don't think he can continue this. I do believe he has been a distraction at times, and he's been a distraction at other stops. I believe he's a great player. He works hard. He's somebody that you want on your team, but I think this is something that he has to clean up. And this has to be a conversation that he has with himself in the mirror. He is too good to be caught up and be in these type of conversations. We shouldn't be having a conversation like this about Jimmy Butler. It should be more about his play. Unfortunately, it's been about these incidents from Minnesota to now in Philadelphia, and they don't have the type of team, and they don't have enough, I'll say, veterans to where they can survive this type of thing. They have a lot of strong presences in that locker room, a lot of strong personalities. They all need to be on the same page. Jimmy Butler doesn't need to be a distraction. And winning sometimes can be like a cologne. You can spray it on and it can cover up some of the stink of what's really going on. But at some point, that cologne's going to fade, and what really is there, you're going to smell it.
The problem I had, when we said that other day, is you have a big three in Ben Simmons, Jimmy Butler, and Joel Embiid. Ben Simmons is not a factor when you start talking about offense, and I'm not saying because he couldn't shoot the basketball. He's a big point guard who wants to pass. There's no doubt the number one option is Joel Embiid. So you're the second option, and there's nothing wrong with that. And if you're a great player, B Wood, throw it to me early. I can make plays off a catch and shoot. B Wood, give it to me, go one-on-one. B Wood gives it to me. But if he's Joel Embiid, I'm going through him, and I'm going to play off him. Whatever numbers I get, long as we're winning, it shouldn't be anything talked about offense.
And to your point, the numbers are still there for Jay. It's not like Embiid's going to score 50 points a game. The numbers can still be there for Jimmy. And the Sixers, who are looking up in the standings at the Bucks. And, guys, they enter tonight's game against the Wizards in Washington with the best winning percentage in the league at .725. They're 29-11. And here's why. Third in offensive rating, third in defensive rating, and first in net rating. B. Wood, can the Bucks make it to the NBA Finals?
Yes, the Bucks can make it to the NBA Finals. We have seen this type of system that Coach Bud had work in Atlanta, and Atlanta had a great run, and Atlanta had a chance to make it deep into the playoffs. They just ran into that guy, I think you know his name, LeBron James? Yeah, that's his name. The big guy in Cleveland used to wear the headband. Long story short is they couldn't get past that guy because Atlanta, as good as they were, they didn't have the best player in the series. Guess what Coach Bud has now? The Greek Freak, a guy in the name of Giannis Antetokounmpo. He can be the best player in a series. He can take over a series in multiple ways. He guards multiple positions. He can score the ball. He rebounds the ball, and defensively he can clean up things with block shots. So they can run their same ball movement style. They can attack you with Giannis. They're spreading you out to the three-point line. Oh, they have a stretch five in Brook Lopez that creates these huge gaps that Giannis and everybody else can drive through. And they have one of the most slept-on players in the league in Malcolm Brogdon on their team. And he, with his shooting ability and the way he gives them another point guard on the floor, he eases some of that pain offensively as well. I think they can definitely make a run.
I look at it as they make a run. If one thing for me is Chris Middleton has to be like Chris Middleton was last year. And people don't understand it's a slight move that Bud made. It's a sacrifice on Chris Middleton. It is totally a different position when you play the 2 and the 3. So now he's at the 3 with Brogdon starting and also Bledsoe. If he can get his confidence back and get a reason why he's able to be consistent at the 3, it's totally different. I played the 2. and there's a little bit of shooting over guys at the 2, right? I got to pick up the 1 at times. When you're at that 3 and B. Wood is at the 4 and I got to pick up 4s and I got to shoot over taller guys, it makes it a little bit different. I got to see Chris Middleton get comfortable like he was last year, then I think they have a chance.
So James Harden, as we shift in scoring, at 33.9 points per game. Get this, it's 5 points per game higher than number 2, which is Anthony Davis. 5 points, it's amazing. Tonight against the Cavs, he has a chance to extend his streak of 30-plus point games. And since the merger, Kobe has the longest streak at 16, Harden and McGrady at 14, Moses Malone at 13, and Kevin Durant at 12. So we have set the over-under for tonight in James Harden's line at 35. Are you guys over or under?
I'm over. But, I'm hesitant because he might.
Why are you hesitant?
Because the game might be get out of hand against the Cavs, and he won't get a chance to play as many minutes. But if I'm, I won't say betting man. If I'm picking, I'm saying James Harden will have more than 35. But I'm a little worried that he can get going early.
I'm not worried. I think he's going to have the over. And then I understand it's the Cavaliers, but the Cavaliers sometimes can jump up and shock you. And then you know how it is, Smitty. Sometimes in January, the dog days of the NBA, you start looking around and looking at your opponent, and you start looking at who you're playing instead of how you should be playing. You start looking at the name on the front of their jersey instead of taking care of your own business, and you relax a little bit. So
if you relax, you still think he's getting 35.
I don't think he can't relax. I'm talking about the rest of his teammates. James has to go for 30, 35, 40 every night just for them to have a chance. And so I think James is going to come out and do what he does. He has such high usage, he can never really relax. The problem is everybody else, will they relax? And so I think that this game might be, I don't think it's going to be close, but I think it's close enough that he stays in it and that he's able to get his 35
My concern
plus.
is if you watch them play pick and roll, and they're going to be so concerned, and I think there's no Tristan Thompson tonight. So now he might have 25 points in the first half and not really get a chance to play that many minutes in the second half.
We shall see.
We shall see. But if it was a 48 game, he plays 40 minutes, he's getting 35.
I agree with that. No Love, no Hood, no Nance. The Cavs are very short-handed.
Tristan Thompson playing?
Okay. He may be playing tonight. I do know that those 3 are out. And we shift gears now to the Nets. The Nets are one of the best stories of the season in the NBA. And entering tonight's game against the Raptors, they're in 7th place at 21-22. That's in the East, of course. They won 28 games a year ago. And since December 7th, they're 13-4, thanks in large part to the 3-ball. They're 5th in makes, 4th in percentage during that span. Are the Nets the most surprising team this season?
No, I like them, but B. Wood said he came up with the team, and I totally agree with them, the Denver Nuggets. But I like the Brooklyn Nets. The reason why is I love what this coaching staff has done. If I'm looking for a team in the future that, say, can make the jump in another year or 2 to make some noise, maybe around the 5th or 6th in the Eastern Conference, I'm going Brooklyn Nets. I think they're Karis LeVert away from getting a chance to be around the 5th or 6th seeded team in the Eastern Conference.
I think the biggest surprise in the NBA is not the Nets. I think it's the Denver Nuggets, and it's strictly because I thought Denver was going to be a team that might sneak in the playoffs at 7 or 8. No way in the world I think they would be 28-12 at this point in the season, number 1 in the Western Conference. And when you factor in, Will Barton's been hurt, Isaiah Thomas hasn't played, Michael Porter hasn't played, and on top of all the other injuries they've had,
Harris has been out.
Gary Harris has been out at times. Like, you would have thought that this team wouldn't be rated as high. So the biggest surprise to me is clearly the Denver Nuggets. Jokic has done an incredible job. Tim Conley, their president of basketball operations, has put together a very, very deep team, a very, very competitive team full of young talent that can compete on a nightly basis. So the Nets are a big-time story, but the biggest surprise to me has to be the Denver Nuggets.
I love it. I love it. All right, so the last time we saw the Minnesota Timberwolves, they were celebrating Ryan Saunders' first win as an NBA head coach. That was Tuesday in Oklahoma City. Tonight, the Wolves host the Mavericks in Saunders' home debut, and he spoke about that earlier today.
Yeah, if I take a step back and do, see it as a personal thing, it is special. There's no getting around it. Spent a lot of time here in these halls, a lot of time, taking the route with my dad down 55 to the game, which I did today. So it was kind of special, and try to take it in, but ultimately just want to compete against a team we're fighting for playoff position.
So, B-Wood, I'll start with you. Just generally, what are your thoughts on, the Tibbs dismissal, Ryan Saunders taking over? a thrilling and somewhat improbable win at OKC the other night. Just generally your overarching thoughts on Saunders and the Wolves.
I have, with Tibbs' dismissal, I don't really have a problem with it. I know Tibbs has done a great job in this league, but I think that if you don't think that he's going to be the coach for you in the future, then why not go ahead and get him out of the way right now, get somebody in place that can establish the type of rules, the type of style that you want played moving forward, and especially with the young guys they have. When you talk about Karl Anthony Towns and Wiggins, you need somebody in there that's going to basically be pushing what you want pushed. And Tibbs, to a certain degree, he's a dinosaur in the coaching game from a defensive standpoint and an offensive standpoint. He was great in like 2013. But the game has changed. More stretch fours, more stretch fives has totally changed how you play the pick and roll. His pick and roll strategy doesn't work as well as it used to. So I think that was holding this team back to a certain degree. I have no problem with Ryan Saunders. I had a chance to not play with him, but he coached me. He was assistant coach for me in Washington, D.C. for one season. He's more than adequate. He can do this job. He's grew up in basketball his whole life, a basketball lifer. I have no doubt he's the right man for this position.
You know, the Timberwolves, when you have a coach and general manager / with Tibbs, and that trust was gone between ownership and Tibbs when everything was going on, it was time. I mean, I'm glad. I'm like V. Wood. Why wait? It was time because that was never going to be repaired. You can tell they were at odds. And when the owner said, I'm going to start making the trades, you have a guy that you gave the title of coach and GM, you know the trust was gone. And I think right now, give Ryan Saunders a lot of credit. He did a phenomenal job. You love the way the team rallied around him and celebrated. Look, let's see. They played well that first game. The one thing I love about it, they attacked more than I ever saw. Got to the line 40 times. That was on their second time. I liked the way they had the offense going, and I liked this substitution pattern. Anytime you see a new coach, you start to zero in on everything and breaking down. In that first game, I know it was just one. He did a good job.
Well, they're going to get a shot in the arm tonight because Derrick Rose is going to come back. You saw him warming up. He's missed the past 6 games with an ankle injury. He will come back for the Wolves tonight. He is right there, in my opinion, with Lou Williams for 6th Man of the Year. He's just been one of the great stories individually in the league. Can't wait for that ball game. It's Dallas at Minnesota, and we're just getting started on Game Time Live, presented by State Farm. Coming up, it's Smitty's Top 5 Plays.
Under the rim, here we go. Watch this. A jab got him.
Oh my goodness.
Down he goes.
Oh, was that UNC legend Justin Jackson?
I didn't want to say it.
I might have to take his legend status back.